GoodBuy, the show where we tell you about a thing and whether or not you should actually buy that thing. Today, we're reviewing Assassin's Creed Mirage, as written by the wonderful Joe Parlock and adapted to video by myself.
Oh, secret hidden one stuff. What are you doing this time? Stabbing? Stealing? Stabbing and then stealing?
After Valhalla, it was clear Assassin's Creed had fallen into a slump. Obsessed with scale over all else, the series had stripped away just about everything that made it unique in pursuit of being the next big open-world RPG. So the news that Assassin's Creed Mirage was taking us back to the basics with a focus on classic stealth and a smaller, more confined city to explore should have been a welcome relief. Instead, Mirage is another sign that Ubisoft has no idea what to do with the franchise. While it sometimes teases a sparkle of what could have been the second coming of Ezio Auditore, it's more frequently a hodgepodge of failed ideas and decade-old flaws that makes for one of its weakest entries in years. Set before Valhalla in 9th century Baghdad, it tells a story of street rat turned assassin Basim and his early years among the Hidden Ones, tracking down members of the Order, who are busy twisting the city to their own mysterious ends. Unlike Origins, Odyssey, or Valhalla, Mirage returns to a stealth focus we last saw in Syndicate, with players needing to blend into crowds, eavesdrop on locals, and find ways around enemies by doing more than just cutting them down in a rampage. Assassin's Creed spent 7 years courting open-world RPGs, and so hasn't been able to refine and iterate on its older formula for quite some time. As a result, coming back to it dredges up problems you may have forgotten you even had with the older games, with frustration often masking nostalgia. If there's a single word I could use to describe Mirage, it's dated. Rather than taking place across an entire country, Mirage sticks to a single city and its surrounding countryside. This is great news after the wading through the sparse Celtic voids of Valhalla, but that smaller scale doesn't equate to a more detailed world. Baghdad feels lifeless, with crowds blandly milling about and very little to explore outside of the missions. It's a step back from the chaotic throngs of Paris in Unity or the pollution-belching boats of the Thames in Syndicate. It's more like Constantinople from Revelations, both in size and detail, and that was over a decade and 2 console generations ago. Mirage is a game that feels distinctly out of time for all the wrong reasons. Parkour is also back to its original form, with you holding a button to automatically leap from obstacle to obstacle. Again, this is something that was refined to near perfection in Unity, only for Mirage to look too far back at a time when it was overly awkward, fiddly, and often saw you leaping off buildings you didn't mean to. I've spent so much time up close and personal with the walls of Baghdad just because Basim didn't want to climb a clearly visible brick facade that sat mere meters away. For all its antiquated design choices, Mirage does have some cracking missions that remind you why so many people fell in love with this series. Whether it's stalking and pickpocketing someone with a fancy trinket, or a full-scale infiltration of Baghdad's most secure areas, Mirage never fails to keep things interesting and varied, without falling victim to gimmicky set pieces. Even the side missions are great. Instead of chasing feathers or faffing about with a homestead, you can pick up contracts that let you do the day-to-day work of an assassin. These aren't small distractions, they're often full-blown missions with their own challenges. Taking some time out to steal a relic or rescue an unlucky victim of the Order often results in some of the most fleshed out and enjoyable parts of Mirage. The high points are the assassinations themselves. You're given a large area, be it a palace, jail, market, or just a chunk of the city, and told to go find your quarry. All of a sudden, the game turns into Hitman, with missions presenting huge complex puzzles to solve. While they do ultimately end up with you wrist deep in someone's neck like usual, the increased buffet of opportunities presented to you makes all the sneaking on the way feel fantastic. You feel like an assassin, but sadly this power fantasy is too fleeting. It's a good thing the stealth is great, because going loud would require you to get involved with the worst combat system Assassin's Creed has ever had. Not quite the Soulsy one-on-one fights of Origins, but also not quite the Arkham-y countering of the old games. Mirage finds itself in a stiff, finicky middle ground where you're often just waiting for your enemy to overextend so you can shank them. They're effectively quick-time events, yet another thing Ubisoft should have left in 2012. When it comes together, Mirage does manage to evoke the same feelings I had back in 2007 running around Acre for the first time. There's an exquisite stealth sandbox nestled away in here, but a few excellent missions don't make up for the frequent bugs, lifeless city, terrible combat, or the fact that it has some of the flattest, most perfunctory writing the series has ever seen. Playing on nostalgia is only worthwhile if you're making it better than what came before, but Assassin's Creed Mirage is too busy fawning over the Ezio trilogy to notice just how aged it's become.